What's up, nerds? Welcome to a special edition of Them Nerds. Today, we are going to be talking about something that is a little bit out of the norm for our normal content, but that does have an effect not only on many of our fans, but also on a lot of the creators who make the content that we talk about on this show. So we thought it was a pertinent time to talk about what's going on in the state of Georgia and all of the things surrounding the voting law changes that are happening there. I am coming to you live from King's Landing, where no one gets a vote, which some people are concerned is what's going to happen in Georgia. So, Gerald, my best buddy, how you doing, man?
Doing great.
Tell us about this law. What's going on with it?
They put a voting restrictions on. Basically, to what ended up happening was that Georgia went blue this past election, losing both their Senate seat and the state to a Democratic president. I believe the first time in they said in 25 years or something like that. Basically since Clinton. And so they put into law a bunch of they have basically put in restrictions to ensure that it made it harder for people to go out to vote. You can't give water to people who are standing in line. You can't turn in your ballots for elderly relatives. You can't I believe that they said you can't offer food to people in line. You cannot turn in ballots for people. You are limited to the amount of ballot boxes that are available to people. The hours have been cut. They don't want people voting on Sundays because that's the Lord's Day. Which obviously is a big day for the African-American community to vote because they do souls to the polls. So this is obviously just a modern day Jim Crow, count the jar of jelly beans and tell us how many there are before we allow you to vote, when we all know that as Americans, we are supposed to be getting one vote for every American that is legally able to cast a vote. So they also put into law the idea that if the Georgia Assembly does not like the way the state chose to vote, that they get the ultimate say to go ahead and overturn the vote.
So yeah, there are a lot of concerns over some of the things that are in that this new. It was part of a giant omnibus bill that was signed by the governor, and omnibus bills are the devil. They in the national theater, it's the same thing. They sneak all kinds of goofy stuff in as like part of a general, kind of spending authorization, and that's what happened here. The big concerning things, of course, that are leading a lot of people to want to boycott, which you see the word boycott behind Jerry there, and that's kind of the topic of the day. It's there. There are restrictions on the number of ballot boxes per county, and in some of the more densely populated counties that would tend to go blue, that can be a little bit of a problem. People are going to be backed up. It's going to take longer. There are a lot of issues that are surrounding this new development. So, we are firmly ensconced in nerd culture, and we are, I'm not gonna get on my soapbox here, but we both are firm believers in people having a right to have a say over their own life and what happens, and voting is a big part of that. And so that sucks, first of all. It also sucks that it's sort of driving out a large contingent of creatives who had started flocking to Georgia for filming stuff. I mean, if you ever, if you're watching the MCU and you stay till the end of the credits, which everyone should stay till the end of the credits, there's always a thing thanking the state of Georgia because they do so much filming there. Walking Dead, tons of filming in Georgia. We've talked on this show about Tyler Perry and his new compound there that allows for a lot of filming, especially during the pandemic. He was allowing people to be sequestered there so that they could quarantine and be deemed fit to film and whatever. And that's why we got a bunch of the stuff made that we got made. So one of the boycotts that I've just been reading about. James Mangold, who is going to be the director of the upcoming Indiana Jones film, has said he will not do any filming there, which is probably a problem for that film because it's going to be backed by Disney. Disney does a lot of filming in Georgia. That's going to throw a wrench in the works. Who else have you heard out there boycotting?
A large portion of just black talent in general are saying they will not film in the state of Georgia as long as these laws are left in place. But you have to remember that there's also Black Adam is going to be starting to film there soon. That's starring The Rock. You got Stranger Things filming there, Doom Patrol 3, Cobra Kai, Stargirl. Pretty much every single reality TV show you may watch is produced through the state of Georgia, through that beach company that they have down there. So this could be a bigger, when you're already coming out of, we're basically, coming out of pandemic with a recession, looming, and you are talking about a industry that's already crippled after this last year. This could be a big hit, and for a state that is majority, this is a huge income for the state of Georgia. We'll lose those production companies because they can't make productions there and they need to go to another state so they can make their money. That would be a huge hit. Not to mention that the idea that this thing is kind of taking legs. It's now, Texas just today, passed laws that are even more strict than Georgia's. Florida is doing the same thing. Florida has Disney that's also down there. They produce a lot of their TV shows that are for like kids that are down there. So if those start getting boycotted, also, what are you going to do? I mean, I don't really know what you do in Texas. I guess brisket, but I'm sure there's something there that they can go ahead and boycott too. And I think that I understand, the logic of the idea you don't want to lose jobs there, but then you have to think to yourself, you also can't jeopardize, your basic human rights.
Right. Yeah. There's Stacey Abrams, who we talk about often, is of course a huge voting rights activist in the state of Georgia, and she's kind of taken the stance that it would be harmful to the people of the state of Georgia if companies like Coca-Cola and some of the airlines and some of the production companies and some of the sporting events, because Major League Baseball has already said that they're talking about pulling the All-Star game from Atlanta. Various sporting leagues have said that they're reluctant to do anything major there, and Stacey Abrams is of the opinion that it might be harmful to the workers who are already probably going to be the ones who are bearing the brunt of these restrictions. So there's this kind of back and forth, like, do you continue? Like, her suggestion was, hey, Coca-Cola, you want to do something about it? Start donating to voting rights organizations and help fight legally these restrictions. So,
or if you really want to do something, I mean, the idea that Coca-Cola is going to pull their business out of Atlanta's, production companies closing overnight because of something like that is not going to happen. But what can happen is you can stop donating to people who vote for these kind of laws. You're giving large donations to political action plan groups and individual candidates, and you can just say, "I won't back a party who doesn't allow every American to vote in this country without restrictions."
Right, and we've talked about. We don't delve much into politics on this show. It's it's a nerd show, but I mean, we're getting to the point with these companies, threatening to pull up stakes where it could be affecting the stuff that we normally do talk about on the show. So I think it's important to address. I will never understand the idea that, like, people claim like it's rampant voter fraud with there's been no evidence. By the way, I am not a Democrat. I did not vote for Joe Biden. I didn't vote for Donald Trump either. Don't get me wrong. But like, the idea that you're going to claim this voter fraud, it reminds me of like after 9/11 when they were claiming that there were all these terrorist cells all over America. And like, it's just like these nonsensical things that are being used as this basis for like how, I don't understand the logic of like, hey, you know what? This county that has millions and millions of poor people living in it, we're going to take away their ability to put a vote in a box. Why?
Well, it's basically what it comes down to is that, you can't appreciate black art, black film, black TV, then say you also don't have a voice in this country. And that's basically what's going on. You had a movement this year where people, especially the African American community, really came out and put a lot of votes in to get people that they felt would help them out. And so the idea that we say, well, we'll just make sure that your vote doesn't go anywhere, or you can't. We'll put so many hurdles in front of you, knowing that you are essential workers most of the time, or that you work line work, especially in the South, and that it's already hard enough for you to be able to get into voting. We'll just put so many roadblocks that so that it can't happen. But we also still want to go ahead and watch you on Love and Hip Hop, or watch you in on Ant-Man and the Wasp, or you on Ti and Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We want to go ahead and watch you play, Sam. You can't appreciate us there, but then also say we want you to shut up and dribble, shut up and throw a ball, shut up and hit a bat, or obviously my sports go.
Hit up in your sports ball game.
Yeah, but we don't want to hear you at the ballot box, and that's what people are saying here. That you don't get to appreciate the stuff that we're doing for you that brings enjoyment to your life all the time, and yet I get to be, I have to stand in the rain for 96 hours to be able to cast my vote.
It smacks of modern day minstrel show.
Yeah.
Just shut up. Put on your costume. Don't complain. Yeah.
And there's no right answer to what you do to make these kind of changes happen. But at the end of the day, especially in the African American community, the only way that we've had real change happen is by boycotting things. Boycotting buses, boycotting restaurants. If you don't tell people that you don't get my dollar, if you don't start acknowledging that I'm just as equal as you are, and that's what it comes down to. And don't get me wrong, what's going on in Georgia, what's going on in Florida, what's going on in Texas is not just affecting the African American community. It's also affecting a large population of poor white Americans also. So we can't pretend like they don't want to hear from poor people.
Right.
They do not want to hear from marginalized groups. So because of that, pull your money out from that state. You make your cans in Atlanta and start donating out of state to states that are actually doing the right things in this country.
Right. I feel like the best way to do this would be for states that are a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little more sympathetic to this cause. I feel like they need to remove some of the costs and some of the regulatory roadblocks that drove these companies to these southern states to begin with. If you have a state like California, for example, there's a lot of industry leaving California because of costs and taxes and things like that. When you have states like California, Oregon, Washington, who would be very, friendly to this sort of movement, like they need to kind of break down any kind of governmental roadblocks to bringing these companies in. And these companies need to it needs to be kind of a handshake deal. Like we'll start making it easier for you guys to do your work here, and you guys start coming in. And that, I'm wearing a shirt that says "Enjoy capitalism." Capitalism, the free market, the number one thing that the free market provides is a good, swift kick in the ass when you do something stupid. And a state that disenfranchises this many people is very likely to get that kick in the ass if other states make the effort to bring those industries in.
Yeah, you can't get upset that Disney kicks out a lady who likes to post Nazi stuff and say that's cancel culture, and then sit there and stay silent while they canceled the votes of a whole state.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see it. Don't tell me about how sad you are that, Tim Allen can't do Home Improvement or something like that, but you stay quiet when this stuff's going on over here. So, it's understandable what they're doing. I don't want to lose one of these shows. We're all, especially, what's going on in this, the industry now. These shows are also providing jobs to these same communities that they're in. So this is a hit that they have to, weigh out to say, is this worth it to us? Like Stacey was saying.
Right.
But that's the best part about this whole thing is that these companies can still keep these people employed and do what they need to do and still be able to say what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, like Coca-Cola, for example, had a very vocal response where they said, "This is not okay. What you're doing."
Yes, they had it several weeks later, and after they already had done the vote, they became very loud out there.
Yeah.
Same with Delta. I always like that. I always like it when there's a semi fight and the people come out later and tell you, you know what, that was wrong.
Yeah. A part obviously, like I think
They watched the whole thing.
companies like to stay quiet because I don't think they want to like rock the boat, But like I also think that the way that this was kind of passed through as part of this like omnibus sort of spending bill, I have a feeling that a lot of it was sort of, shoved, under the rug for a little while and only kind of came to light because people were like, "Hey, you guys seen this?" It was like, what was it, like 110 pages of nonsense?
Yeah.
So
no, it's just, you got to just ask yourself, there's a lot of stuff out there that you get to enjoy, maybe you're walking around, humming WAP or, that's a Afro-Latino woman who lives in Atlanta who wrote that song that you're enjoying. You know what I mean? What if you don't get new music that's coming from them because of that, because of what's going on?
Right.
You enjoy Mixed-ish or half these other shows that are on ABC that are produced down in Georgia. What are you going to do when those shows aren't getting produced? We've all a majority of us that are in our late 20s, early 30s, we lived through a writer's strike where nothing was coming out. So we know what it's like when Hollywood decides they're going to close down and they're not going to give you any new content. You get the Kardashians.
I was gonna reference the writer's strike. We, when one of the shows that kind of like we really both liked and talked about back in the day was Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to talk about a show that got killed by that writer's strike, man, nail in the coffin.
Even worse,
huh? Lost. Yeah. Like these were like major, like iconic nerd shows, and they just got hamstrung by this writer's strike. And like I would hate to see that happen with this. But I mean, bigger things, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, at least I got something to watch now.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. The hope is, at least from these nerds, that the fine people of Georgia will see the error of their ways, and this will not stand. And the companies that are doing so much through Georgia will be able to continue doing what they're doing, or maybe they F right off to another state and do what they're doing in another state. We'll see. But for the good of the people and for the good of nerd programming, we hope that all of this is settled up, the right way.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing I know about America: they really like protecting people of color's vote. So I imagine this is really going to go well.
Yeah, well, we shall see. We shall see. The best thing about the United States is you can make decisions with your feet, and these companies are going to make decisions by getting the hell out if Georgia keeps doing this stuff. And I hope that if people who live there don't like it, they get the hell out too.
The state's still there. I mean, it's like when you leave a house, you're squatting, and the house is still there. I mean,
yeah.
These people going to secede. I thought they were seceding. I thought this was the plan. Nah, we'll just take your boat.
Empty.
Drink my Coke.
Empty promises. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully this is all going to be resolved, but it's a bad situation, and we'll see. It remains to be seen what these companies are going to do. Gerald, do you?
Hopefully, The Flash is not being filmed there. I tell you, they do not need any more delays.
For a movie about a fast guy, it sure is slow.
The slowest production ever.
Oh, yeah.
They're using claymation.
Wouldn't that be the shits? The movie comes out and it's just California raisins. Oh, Gerald, do you have any parting words of wisdom before we sign off today?
On this subject,
On any subject.
your vote matters. I would say, regardless of who you're voting for, if you don't let somebody strip away your voice, and if you do, if they do strip away your voice, don't provide your money to companies that back them.
Money
I
talks.
don't eat at Chick-fil-A. I don't shop at Hobby Lobby. There's a whole lot of things I don't agree with that I don't go and give my money to. So that's what I would just suggest to you. If there's something that's out there that you don't like, then don't give them your money. But don't be one of those people who just say you're not going to do it, but then you still do. Like, eat Chick-fil-A in your car. Like, you will never see me. I don't know what it tastes like. I won't ever know what it tastes like. I can't get
in the car.
So, huh? You know how they are. You got that sauce still on their face.
Oh, I'm boycotting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let your money talk, man. If these companies, if you don't like what's going on there, and these companies are still there and doing things there, and you don't like that, let them know. Let them know by talking to them, by letting them know on social media, and most importantly, by letting the almighty dollar do the talking.
Exactly.
That's right. And speaking of dollars, do us a favor. Subscribe. Yeah, let's get that paper. All right, nerds. That is it from us today. Be good. Be good to each other.
Nerdy.
Later, folks.